Little girl's question. The hall was packed with families, retirees, and local residents. Everyone was eagerly awaiting speeches about policies and the future of America. But amidst the crowd, a small girl stood out, looking somewhat out of place. Lily, just 8 years old, wore her best dress and clutched an old, worn Bible tightly. This was a book passed down from her grandmother, whom Lily deeply loved and respected. The pages were frayed, the golden lettering on the cover had faded with time. But to Lily, it was a priceless treasure. Before coming here, her mother had gently advised, "You can ask, but only if you truly want to and are ready to face the answer." Lily had nodded, her little heart pounding in her chest. She had practiced her question for weeks, writing it over and over in her notebook, whispering it to herself before bedtime. This was not just an innocent child's question, it was something she had been thinking about for a long time. The event took place in a small hall in Shreveport, Louisiana. The air buzzed with murmured conversations and the sound of folding chairs scraping against the polished wooden floor. This was usually the place for Sunday church gatherings, but tonight had a different atmosphere. At the front of the room stood a familiar figure, the stage lights reflecting off his signature golden hair. It was Donald Trump, a name everyone in the room knew. However, tonight, he seemed quieter than usual. Perhaps because of the special meaning of this gathering. When Trump began his speech, he spoke about policies, achievements, and plans for the future of America. The crowd occasionally clapped, sometimes nodded in agreement, but there was not the same electrified energy as at typical political rallies. Lily waited patiently, her small hands gripping the Bible tighter with each passing minute, her anticipation growing. When the Q&A session started, she saw a long line of people moving forward, mostly adults with questions about the economy, politics, and society. She hesitated, her legs trembled beneath her seat. But then, her mother gently touched her back, a silent encouragement. Taking a deep breath, Lily stood up. The small girl slowly made her way to the front, murmurs spreading among the attendees. When it was finally her turn, Trump looked down at her, a flicker of softness in his gaze. "What's your question, young lady?" he asked, his voice unexpectedly gentle. Lily tightened her grip on the Bible, her knuckles turning white. She took a deep breath and spoke, her voice slightly trembling but filled with determination. "Mr. Trump, what does God mean to you?" The room fell into absolute silence. Silence and an honest answer. The crowd was completely still, as if everyone was drawn into this singular moment. The man known for his sharp responses and unwavering confidence suddenly fell silent. Trump stared at Lily, then shifted his gaze to the Bible she held tightly against her chest. Something in him changed. A rare softness appeared. After what felt like an eternity, he slowly placed his hands on the podium, leaning slightly forward. "That's a big question," he began, his voice lower than usual. "And it's not one I've always had an answer for." A few people in the audience exchanged surprised glances. Trump, the man who always projected certainty, was admitting uncertainty in front of everyone. He looked at Lily, his eyes thoughtful. "When I was your age, I had a lot of questions about God too. My parents took me to church every Sunday. I remember sitting on the pew, staring up at the stained glass windows, wondering if God was really listening. I didn't know. I didn't understand." He paused, his eyes scanning the audience. "My father once told me that faith is like a ladder. We climb one step at a time. And sometimes we feel like we're about to fall. But we keep climbing because there's something worth reaching for. When I was young, I didn't understand that. I thought they were just words." Lily's wide eyes remained fixed on him, waiting for the most important part. Trump continued, his voice warmer. "As I grew older, life threw all kinds of challenges at me. I lost things. I failed. And there were times I felt like I couldn't keep going. In those moments, I didn't always feel that God was with me. Sometimes I was angry at him. Sometimes I thought he had abandoned me. But in the end, I realized that faith isn't about having all the answers. Faith is believing that even when we can't see the whole picture, there is still meaning. There is still a reason to move forward." Lily slowly loosened her grip on the Bible. Her hands, once clenched tightly, now rested more gently on its cover. Part 3. A personal story and a room transformed. Trump continued, but this time, there was a different tone in his voice. "When I was younger, I thought I had all the answers. I had ambition, a plan, and a clear path ahead. But then, something happened that changed everything. He paused, his gaze growing distant. My brother, Fred, was one of the kindest people I ever knew. He had a light in him that I didn't understand at the time. But Fred had his own demons. And no matter how hard my family tried, we couldn't help him escape them. When he passed away, I was angry at him, at myself, and at God. The room was utterly silent. Some people bowed their heads, deeply feeling the weight of his words. I lost my faith for a long time, he admitted, but then, at some point, I realized that faith isn't about understanding everything. It's about trusting that there is still a path forward. And that's why I keep going. Trump turned back to Lily, offering her a genuine smile. Thank you for reminding me of that. The entire hall erupted in applause, not for a political speech, but because they had just witnessed something rare, a moment of honesty. A moment where faith, however fragile, had connected every person in that room.